So we're going to take the same pedigree that we had from the last problem and essentially assign what the genotype would be for each of these individuals with the alleles for the given gene that's in question here. And we should be able to figure this out pretty well. So if we look at the affected parent here, if it's dominant, they must have at least one of the dominant alleles. And are they homozygous or heterozygous? Well, look at the offspring. They had 2 affected and 1 unaffected. That means he didn't pass it on to his daughter, which means he must have another option to pass down, which means he must be heterozygous. So that's heterozygous. The mother over here is unaffected for the dominant trait, so she has the 2 recessive alleles. Again, anybody who's recessive in this pedigree, or who's unaffected rather, is going to have 2 of the recessive alleles. So we know that for each of these 3 women here. But then we know that the affected children here must be heterozygous, right? They must be heterozygous because the mother didn't pass an allele on, and the father only had 1 to give, and they're both affected, so they're heterozygous. And this male is heterozygous, and he can pass it on to one of his sons, which he did here, one of his daughters, and another daughter here. So this would be the answer to this question. We can infer or figure out if they're heterozygous or homozygous by actually looking at whether all of the children were affected or if some were and some weren't. And in this case, one of the children wasn't, so we can assume that the father was heterozygous for the dominant allele.